Good evening, dear students. In today's environmental sciences class, we will do with environmental ethics. What are the ethics which are related with the term environment? We will have a slight look into that. We will learn what are the various ethics which surround the environment. So let us first move with the definition of the term environmental ethics. So environmental ethics is the discipline that studies the moral relation, uh, the moral relationship of human beings, and also the value and moral status of the environment and its non-human contents. It considers the ethical relationship between humans and the environment. So, dear students, from here in the definition of environmental ethics, it is clear that environmental ethics is the discipline, it's the study of the moral relationship of human beings and also the value and moral status of the environment and its non-human contents, like the animals. So the relationship between the human beings and the value and moral status of the environment and its non-human contents. The study of this is called the environmental ethics. It considers the ethical relationship between humans and the environment. The relationship between the humans, the relationship between the men and the environment, that is considered to be the main propaganda of environmental ethics. So, in short, we can say that environmental ethics is the study of the ethical basis of environment or the discussion of the ethical basis of environmental protection. So in the previous classes, we have seen that how the environment is being degraded or depleted by human beings. Men are doing, we the human beings, we the civilized human beings, we are doing um, an ill treatment towards the environment, which is very much affecting the environment as a whole. So the time has come that we must follow certain ethics to to control this depletion of the environment. Because you see that we have to live a normal life. We have to live a proper life. We cannot we cannot just damage the environment as a whole. We have to protect the environment, because if we protect the environment, we can also live a healthy life. We can also live a proper life. So if we want to live properly, if we want to just breathe clean air, if we want to see a proper environment in front of us, we have to think for a better way to protect the environment. So this environmental ethics is the protection of the environment so that no harm can be done by the people of this world, of this country towards to the environment. So this environmental ethics is that particular study of the ethical basis of environment or discussion of the ethical basis of environmental protection. So I think you will all agree to this point that environment must be protected. So Now, for the protection of this environment, environmental ethics is required. I hope that you all know the meaning of ethics. Ethics are certain rules, certain regulations which are to be followed properly so that the objectives of a particular organization, be it on a organization, be it anything, the objectives, or be it a group. So in this case, we want our existence. The human beings want their existence for the better, for better living. So in this case, what happens is that the environment is gradually depleting. You all know that. So to protect the environment, so to have a better environment to live in, we must follow certain ethics, certain rules and regulations. So next we are coming to with the topic environmental ethics principles. So every life form is unique and has intrinsic value regardless of its perceived value to the humans. We should have a profound respect for nature. We must maintain a harmonious relationship with other species. Everyone should take responsibility for his impact on nature. Local and indigenous environmental knowledge should be respected, and we must plan or prepare for the long run. So from here, from the principles of this environmental ethics, you can see that we must we must care for the nature. We must follow certain principles so that we can show our respect for the nature. Because if the nature is there around us, we will be secure in the long run. If we, the common people, wants to be secured, 100% secured, we want to live happily. We want everything goes normal. We must have a proper environment. We must have a proper nature around us. But you can see obviously that it is not having the things which were planned, they are not having. We want a proper nature. We want a proper environment to live in. The animals in the forests, the soil, the air, the earth, they all are in danger just because of improper ethics towards the environment. We are not at all aware about the ethics of the environment. We are damaging the environment. We are creating a improper environment. We are damaging our future. We are damaging our own future in our own hands by destroying the nature, by destroying the environment. We must have a harmonious relationship with other species. We we are telling us as a civilized society, we are telling us as a civilized persons, but where are we showing that word civilization? We are damaging or we are killing the animals. We are killing the other species. We are not showing respect to them. As a result, what is happening? The balance is getting deteriorated. The earth, the nature, the environment, they all are degrading just because of this. Because we are not having or we are not showing any responsibilities towards the environment. We must do it. We must take care of the environment. And this, if we have this knowledge, about what the environment requires, or what we can get from the proper environment, or what we can get from the nature, I hope not only you can also have a proper environment in front of you. You can have an environment where you can take a good breath, where you can have a um, proper life to live in. We must plan for the long term. We must plan that yes, today if something bad happens to us in the form of depletion, in the form of depletion, in the form of environmental hazards, we must plan for that. That yes, if today we are doing something harm to the nature, one day it will come that nature will also harm the humans. So let us not do it. Let us do something which has a positive impact on the nature, on the environment. Let us show that particular respect towards the environment, so that when our future generations they come, they can live a healthy life. But what we are doing, we are just forcing, we are forcing the environment to have a negative, to give a negative impact on us. As a result, we, our future generation, they, they will, and we are facing numerous amounts of problems. You can see climate change, then fire in the Amazon, earthquakes, many other hazards, natural hazards, they are coming just because we are lacking this environmental ethics. If we follow this environmental ethics, be rest assured that you can lead or you can live a proper and healthy life. So why need to study environmental ethics? We need to study environmental ethics to overcome the following questions. What are the environment damage produced by the present generation? And what acts must be given to slow such damage? So these are the questions which needs to be answered. These are the questions why we need to study environmental ethics. What are the damage we are doing? We the human beings, we the civilized people, so-called civilized people, what are the damage or what are the damages which we are doing to the environment? And what acts we must do so that that particular damage can be reduced? Okay, so environmental damage, you all know it can be it can be in the form of these two types. One is pollution and another one is resource depletion. So pollution comes in the form of air pollution, water pollution, land pollution. And resource depletions, they come in the form of depletion of species and habitats, and depletion of fossil fuels, etc. The next topic, we come to the ethical values of pollution control. So what are the ethical values for pollution control? Let us find out. The thing is that we should recognize our moral duty to protect the welfare not only the human beings, but also of other non-human parts of the system, and it is usefulness of human world, non-human world for human purposes. So I think this point is clear to you, or these points are clear to you, that we should recognize our moral duty to protect the welfare not only of the human beings but also of other non-human parts of the system. We should not only think of us, it is our moral duty actually not only to think about the welfare of the human beings, of us, but also we have to think of the moral duty of other non-human parts of the system who are not human, the animals. We also have to think of that. The air, the soil, everything we have to think, because we are, or you can say that we are interconnected. If those air, if those soil, animals, these all are protected, these all are unharmed, remain unharmed, we can stay safe. But if any damage occurs to anything, so be it soil, be it air, be it the animals, then the life of the human beings will be in a complete, um, you can say it will be in danger. So we the human beings have to understand the importance of nature. We have to understand the importance of the environment. So the usefulness of non-human world for human purposes. For this non-human world, we have to understand the usefulness of that. Otherwise, our survival will be at stake. You cannot live here. The ethical values for pollution control. So the human beings, it is saying that human beings have no rights to reduce this richness and diversity, and to expect to satisfy vital needs. The ideological changes is mainly that of um, that of appreciating a life quality rather than to increase higher standard of living. So you all may be knowing that we the humans, we have no rights. We have actually no rights to reduce this richness and diversity of the nature to satisfy our needs. We have no right to damage the environment, to damage the nature, to damage the richness and diversity. We have a beautiful nature in front of us. We have a beautiful environment in front of us. Environment is a beautiful environment is surrounding us. But who has given us this right to damage it? Who has given the right to deplete it? Who has given us the right to just deteriorate its richness, its diversity? No one. So why we are reducing its richness and diversity? Only to satisfy our vital needs? No, we must not do it. We shouldn't do it. We should keep aside. We should not. We should not reduce this richness, or we should not spoil the environment. We should not spoil the um, diversity, rich diversity of this particular environment. So here's some environmental news, which you can see that 1998 it was the warmest year recorded since 1981. 14.6 million hectares of natural forests are lost each year. 22% of world's carbon emission is produced by 5% of the world population. Banded species of snails have completely disappeared due to global warming, and a few rabbit species, they are disappearing slowly due to global warming. So these are the environmental news which has come in the recent years. Day by day, many such environmental news they are coming. This news, they are very they are very saddening news. They make us very sad. You can see from each and every points which are being told over here, they are mentioning a bad impact on the environment. Every point told over here, they are not at all any good points. They all are telling that what have we done towards the environment. The 1998, the warmest year recorded since 1981. Do you think it is a very good news? No. Just because of us, just because of we, this has happened. The emissions from the factories, from the organizations, big organizations, this is happening. We are responsible for it. The rabbits, the some species of snails, they're completely disappearing. We are talking about global warming. Just now I have told you about global warming. Who is responsible for it? The animals? No. The air, the soil, are they responsible for global warming? No. We the civilized people, we the civilized generation, we the civilized species, we are responsible for this global warming. We are responsible for disappearing of the snails. We are responsible for disappearing of these rabbits. We are responsible for this 14.6 million hectares of this natural forest being lost. If it is a high time, this is the high time we should think about it. And yes, I can obviously say we are pretty late. We are thinking it very late. We must have thought it hundreds of years back, that what we are doing towards the environment. Why are we playing with the environment? Because you can see that numerous environment news, numerous amount of this type of environmental news is coming. And who is responsible? We. So we must rectify it. We must have certain ethics so that the environment around us is protected. That is why we are studying environmental ethics. That is our main agenda for today's lecture. You can see from here how the air is getting polluted. Dangerous and poisonous gases, they are being emitted from this particular factory, not only from this particular factory, but millions of factories in the world, they're emitting such poisonous and dangerous gases. So you can see that air pollution from smoke and various chemicals, they kill 3 million people a year, according to a new Cornell study. So these are killing more than 3 million people a particular year. Who is responsible? We are responsible. the people, we, the common people, we are responsible for it. This beautiful baby is drinking water. So with 1.2 billion people lacking clean water, waterborne infections account for 80% of all infectious diseases. So waterborne infections, they affect 80% of all infectious diseases. This, uh, if we include all the infectious diseases, 80% of the cases, they are waterborne. And 1.2 billion people, not a small amount, 1.2 billion people, they lack clean drinking water. As a result, what is happening? Waterborne infections. And they are affecting millions of people. Climate change, another disaster. So climate change disasters, they kill around more than 3 lakh people a year and cause about 125 billion in economic loss, mainly from agriculture. So the agriculture is the most affected in the case of climate change. So this climate change, it is a disaster and it kills around 3 lakh people a year and billions of economic loss is happening in the form of agricultural loss. So this is the results of um, economic. This is the result of environmental degradation. What more I can say about it? What more we can listen that the world is changing, the environmental is gradually changing in a negative way. And who are responsible? We are responsible for it. Okay, so ethical values for conserving depletable resources. So the resources which can be easily depleted, which can easily be damaged. So what are the ethical values for conserving those depletable resources? So we should have one proper utilization of resources. That is, the people should maintain ecological balance. We should adopt voluntary measures to conserve the resources. And if we are to preserve enough scarce resources, the resources which are scarce enough, so that the future generation can maintain their quality of life at a satisfactory level. We have to preserve enough scarce resources like coal, like petroleum. We have to preserve them so that if we want that our future generation can lead a quality life, can lead a healthy life, we have to prepare for that. We have to conserve those. We have to preserve those. So here is one example that it is telling that the mountain of Niyamgiri, it is protected under Section 18 of the Indian Wildlife Act as an area of extraordinary natural beauty. So this particular area, it is protected by, or it is protected under Section 18 of the Indian Wildlife Act just because of its natural beauty, so that no one can destroy its natural beauty. You can see over here um, a lush green hill over here. So to protect this mountain Niyamgiri, the government, the Indian Wildlife Act, the Section 18 of the Indian Wildlife Act, it is scheduled and it is telling that no one can harm this particular mountain. And you can see that more than 75% of this hill is covered by thick forests, and it includes 300 species of plants and trees, including 50 kinds of medicinal plants. So it is the reason that why it is protected. Its greeneries are protected, its animals are protected, or rather flora and fauna are protected by this particular Section 18 of this Indian Wildlife Act. So coming to some definitions of environmental ethics, there's moral agents. So who are moral agents in the term of environmental ethics? So moral agents are those who have the freedom and rational capacity to be responsible for choices, those capable of moral reflection and decision. For example, adult humans of sound mind. But the fact is that the infants and mentally infirm adults are not moral agents. Moral agents means those who have the freedom and rational capacity to be responsible for choice. Okay, so those who can, or those who can, those who have, or those who, yes, those who have this particular freedom and rational capacity to be responsible for choices, those who can take their own decision, those who can, those who are having that particular reflection that yes, I can do something for the environment. That those are moral agents. Okay, moral standing. Next, moral standing. So if you have a moral standing, it means that your continued existence or welfare is vulnerable, is valuable in itself. That is intrinsic value. Your interests and well-being must be weighed when deciding what is permissible to do. Example, humans of all kinds, babies, children, adults, old people, etc., women, different races, different cultures. That is moral standing. Your continued existence or welfare is valuable in itself. Moral duties. I think from here, you know what can be the meaning of moral duties. That which is owned by moral agents to those with moral standings. That is your moral duty. For example, the very good example is given over here that it is wrong to kill our children because we have a moral duty towards them. Okay. Then philosophical issue. Who or what has moral standing and why? Does the environment have moral standing? Must look at criteria for moral standing. What moral duty do we, that means the moral agents, have towards those moral standings? Different ethical positions suggest different moral duties. The main issue or the main motive of saying all this is protect the environment. Does the environment have moral standing? Must look at the criteria for moral standing. And what moral duty do we have towards those moral standings? What can we do for those for this environment? What we can do for the nature? So different ethical positions suggest different moral duties. So we have to protect the only one particular thing I can say to you is to try to protect the nature. We all are responsible for protecting the nature. And we all are responsible where we are standing right now. So ideas on criteria for moral standing: you have to have the ability to feel the pain, therefore extend moral standing towards the animals. Being alive, that means you have to extend moral standing to animals and plants and all living things. Being part of nature, therefore extend moral standing to the earth, ecosystems, rocks, rivers, plants and animals, the entire natural world. Various worldviews and ethical perspectives we will be talking about now. So there are around 5 philosophies in the worldviews and ethical perspectives. One is anthropocentric, stewardship, biocentric, ecocentric, and ecofeminism. So anthropocentrism, what is that? That is, we can best protect nature by looking out for human needs. We, the human beings, we can best protect the nature by looking out for human needs, for our needs. For our needs, we can best protect the nature because we need the nature for ourselves only, for our benefit only, for our future generations' benefit only. So we have to take the responsibility to protect the nature, not others. Not the animal will take the responsibility. We have to take it. For example, this a company called Ducks Unlimited, they have preserved the wetlands. Then again, saving the rainforest, we can say that if we save the rainforests, they will provide oxygen and medicines for the humans. It is our responsibility, as I am telling to you, that if we save the environment will give us something very good in return, a useful thing in return, which we will need for us, for our future generations. So we have to save the rainforests. And if we save it, they will give us oxygen, they will give us some medicines. Many plants give us medicines. You must heard about medicinal plants. So if we save those, we will get something in return, something beneficial in return. And if we don't, we will not get. Stewardship. Stewardship means moral responsibility. So it is a sense of responsibility to manage and care for the environment, and moral responsibility is nothing more than our capacity to be human and being able to take care of everything around us. So I think this one is clear to you. We must have a sense of responsibility to manage and also care for the environment. And it is nothing more than our capacity to be human, to be a human being, and be able to take care of everything which is surrounding us. So man as a steward. So the man's responsibility is to manage and care for the environment. And as I have already told to you, that it is our responsibility as a civilized society responsibility to protect the environment, to protect the environment or nature from any damage. We will not let any damage happen if we want a steady future. And if the human beings, they want a very bad future, okay, it's okay, let us damage the environment. It is your duty which one you want. So stewardship is telling that there are 4 criteria for moral responsibility. That one is the person has knowledge of the consequences of the act. You know what are the consequences of your act, what you are doing. You will be responsible for what you are doing. That means you have the knowledge of the consequences, of the results of the particular act. The person has the capacity to do the act, and the person has the choice to do it. Then it is telling, stewardship is telling that man has moral responsibility towards nature. We know that we can cause permanent damage to natural landscapes, resources, and ecosystems. We know that we can cause them, and we know how we can prevent or remedy them. So, man has moral responsibility towards nature, you all know. We know that we can cause permanent damage to natural landscapes. We know that we can cause permanent damage to the resources and the ecosystems. And we know how we can prevent or we can remedy them, we can cure them. Biocentric. Biocentric means life-centered morality. It is saying that all and only living beings, specifically individual organisms, have intrinsic value and moral standings. Humans are not superior to other life forms nor privileged and must respect the inherent worth of every organism. Humans should minimize harm and interference with nature, and we should eat vegetarian since less land needs to be cultivated. So the main thing is that it is life-centered morality, biocentric one. It is telling that all and only living beings, specifically individual organisms, they have intrinsic value and moral standing. We are having moral standings, and we should minimize the harm we are doing. We should minimize the interference we are doing with the nature. Humans are not superior to other life forms, not privileged, and must respect the inherent worth of every organism. We must respect the inherent worth of every organism. Then ecocentric holism, that is ecosystem-centered morality. Non-individuals have moral standing or intrinsic value and are deserving of respect. Individuals must be concerned about the whole community of life and nature. Then humans should strive to preserve ecological balance and stability. This is ecosystem-centered morality. You should all preserve this ecological balance and stability, as I have already told you before, that why we should do it and how we should do it. Then ecofeminism. Ecofeminism is a very interesting one. It rejects patriarchal dualisms. That is, the domination of nature by men is wrong. And it is very much similar to and related to the domination of women by men. Like the men, they dominate women by many ways. Similarly, men or the humans, they are dominating the nature similarly, like what the men are doing towards the women, the 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 men or the human beings, they are the similar things to the nature. So that is ecofeminism. And we must break the pattern of power over relationships that will benefit both the women and the natural world. Okay, so we have come to the last part. Here it is being told by Wendell Berry that the care of the earth is our most ancient and most worthy, and after all, our most pleasing responsibility. To cherish what remains of it and to foster its renewal is our only goal. So, lastly, I will say that you all should preserve nature. You all should respect nature. You all should think of the future and um, do or show your care towards the environment, towards the nature. If you show it, environment will give you some benefits. Environment will also show love towards you. It will give you some benefits in return to you. Okay, so I hope it is understood. So thank you. And if you have any questions, you can ask me. I think you all are having my number. You can always call. And